Okay, so let's see what we can do with a tier list of clan builds. Let's just gun it. Ratchets. Let's see. We have Ratchets on wheels, of course, as on hovers. So let's just rank it. Oh, that's Scotch's build. Let's take this. Ratchets on hovers. I like them. Fast. The gel, somewhat tanky enough. Also good DPS against Leviathans. Personally, I just find them fun to play. So I think a B tier, because they're kind of situational. And also, you cannot arrange people with them. On wheels? Uh, on wheels I'm not a fan of it, particularly. Especially those after the nerf. Because now you need to run 2 blocks instead of 1 block. Pretty fucking annoying. You can get your weapons shot off very fast. Also, damaging yourself is not very fun, especially if you're hugging an enemy, and you're gonna be hugging an enemy with these a lot. So, yeah, you're gonna lose a lot of your builds just hugging enemy builds. I give it a D tier, I think. It's not the tankiest thing, you know, especially if you shoot it once in the black top, the whole roof falls off. Not particularly good against hovers. I think just mediocre. I give it the mediocre. One thing, they're not very efficient in corners, but they can be fun, and they're also super cheap. Also, they can one-shot hovers if you know how to play them properly, you know? Hitting them side, front, maybe the ass. The ass is like one-shot with like 3 lances. Pretty good. But still, I would prefer a hybrid because it is tankier, it is more forgiving, also you can have a griffin on it. Generally just... Also, it can deframe people with only the harvester. But still, this, the full lancer, even without the boosters and just the griffin and like 12 lances, I give it a... I give it a B, I guess. You can use it properly if you're very good with it. A normal hybrid... Do I have a hybrid? I think I have a hybrid. Normal hybrid, I think, gets probably an A tier, like... You cannot detect it, you cannot uncloak it unless you have like... You know where he is. You know what I mean by you cannot decloak it. You cannot verify it. But still, it can tank. Even if it loses its lances, you can ditch this, and then you can just kill hovers. Also, they're very fast. Somewhat tanky. The spark or flash makes it so goddamn annoying to fight. And yeah, they're just easy to fight. I mean, not to fight, but to use. Yeah, I give it an A tier. It is fine, I guess. It is really good if you know how to play it. Not my kind of thing, though. What do we go next? Let's go with Typhoon, because those Typhoons, they are very tanky, especially if you make it with an Echo or a Beholder. Generally very tanky, good DPS, you don't need much skill to play them. You just don't need to be a complete monkey with your positioning and you're gonna be fine even against dogs. Generally, tanky, easy to play, not the most fun weapon in my opinion, yeah, but it is pretty good. Also good damage, tankiness, you can also play it on a light build, yeah. Probably one of the most essential builds in the hover team nowadays. So, I think it's an easy S tier because of just how broken these guns are. Back in the days they were even more broken, they got enough like 5 times already, so yeah, an S, easy S. Scorps, personally a pretty enjoyable weapon, like I said. You can put the cap guns and stuff, verifiers, radars, just like how you can on a Typhoon build. But RNG is the thing with those. If you don't know how to aim on guns and you just aim on armor, you're never gonna be having a fun time, because those, as you can see, most of the time I may hit the 2 shots, but it doesn't do the full damage. Unless you're hitting guns, they're not the best weapon, but they can be very good if you're a very good player, which is not me. So, if you're a good player, an A tier easy. If you're a mediocre player, just I'd say B, but if you're good, A tier. What was next? Let's take a spider, just in general, because spiders can be very tanky, and they're very good paired with a Monday. But they're extremely boring, because playing with the Mandate means camping in the base for 20 fucking minutes! And I'm not a fan of that, if you can tell. But in PvP I like me. In Quanos they just don't like me. So yeah. Generally they can be good. But if you don't like playing like 15-minute matches, they're not fun. So I just give it a D tier. They're not the greatest, they can tank, but if you kill their Drake, just run away and then they can't hit you basically, because fast builds are essentially the meta nowadays. Since you can just hide behind a thing until he finally manages to reach you, you probably already shot him and you're behind cover now. So, a D tier, not very fun to play against, and just fun in PvP. Next one I'd like to go with a Helios. This is a Prometheus, but still, a Helios is probably the better choice. Because of cabin damage. A Helios, you could probably get away with hitting quite a lot of... getting hit in many places. I don't know how to say it, you're just somewhat tanky. Unless the good Scorpion starts shooting you. Also running a shield with this cabin, pretty damn good. But you need to run this goddamn hard module to be good. You know, otherwise they're kind of poo-poo. Not the best weapon, they can be used. They can use support weapon, they can do crazy damage when they hit it. When the enemy is hit it, so... I'd say a B or on the D tier. Because they're not the best, they're kind of situational in close range. Not good against dogs, they're good at, somewhat good at decloaking. So yeah, I guess a B or a D tier. Nah, nothing special. One thing I used to really like playing back in the days was Reaper Underslung Chonker. Essentially, it's one of these. Back in the days when heavy builds were a meta, this used to be one of the best builds. Nowadays, they're really bad. Angles are pretty shit, let's be real. They are tanky, but they're very slow as well. Also, shooting off their wheels just cripples them. And a lot of times you're not gonna be able to hit stuff, because hovers are a thing, and also shooting off like 4 of the front wheels, you're gonna have a pain in the ass time. Fun, but shit in Quanos nowadays, so unfortunately, as much as it pains me, a C tier, it's just not a good weapon anymore. The Reaper has low DPS, it can spin hovers, but it's easy to strip. It's only somewhat useful if you're just camping in the base with spiders, which is already just not fun. This, you can have fun in PvP, not in Quanos though, you're gonna have a bad time on it. Oh, Breakers, let's just go with that next. Breakers, very tanky, let's be honest. They should be called Unbreakables, not Breakers. Their perk makes them invincible, essentially. Also, the most broken thing is that the perk reloads. So if you time it correctly, you can basically have your weapons for the entire game even though they're stuck at 1 HP. Because of how the weapon works. When you get shot, it loses some sort of HP. You usually like 150-ish because of Scorpions do 250 alpha, so that is not enough to one-shot them. You need to shoot them at least 3 times. Well, one is, I'm just counting it by a single weapon, because those weapons have a lot of HP for having almost no mass. And as you can see, before the gun gets broken down essentially, it still can survive on 1 HP. That's the base HP that it stays on. But that perk for the invincibility can get reloaded. So that 1 HP can essentially turn into 50. If you just time it correctly, it can actually turn into more. I've actually tanked like a huge amount of HP with just 1 breaker against Typhoon or Scorpion, because I kept reloading the perk. Also, alpha damage is very good. You don't need the particularly good aim. You can just aim at the cabin and it just does damage a lot, especially when the enemy is heated. You can sneak up, cloak, put an Aegis on it even, or just go DPS. Generally, probably one of the really good weapons for Chronos, but you cannot just spam follow them like you can with Typhoons, an easy win. So I'd say give it an A tier, because you know Chronos is full of long range weapons that can hit you long range. So next, what do we go next? What haven't I reviewed yet and is meta? I'm probably forgetting something very important and I'm gonna get castrated for that. Oh, actually, blah blah. Where is my porcupines? This one is with a drone, but I prefer them with Capcans and Griffin, because they're more versatile. Hitting the enemies back hovers, Capcaning doors generally, but they're not the easiest thing to play, and they can be slightly situational on some maps. But you can just make huge minefields with them, and just do huge damage to Leviathans if you're playing Levi Chronos. So it is essentially a very good build if you know how to play it properly with your team. So it is a B tier because it's not a thing that you can just play out of the box and do good with it. You need to position yourself and all that kind of shit that I'm not very good at. So a B tier, because I'm kind of just putting skill in this as well, which is not exactly the most consistent thing, but yeah. What else was I gonna put on this tier list? Oh yes, mandrakes. The fucking weapon that I'm terrible with even after I played this game for like 2 years now. Yeah, I just hate playing against them, let's be real. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I just don't like playing against mandrakes, because they always camp with spiders. Meaning 15-minute games, unless you push. Also, I'm terrible with aiming on them. Generally, if you're bad with them, you're just not gonna enjoy them. They're gonna be shit and you're gonna be useless. But if you're really good, you can sometimes one-shot hovers. Pretty damn good if you ask me, but it requires a lot of skill and timing. So I'd say a B. And also you can hit yourself if you're bad enough. But they're really fast, and you can put a decent amount of armor on them, I'd say. Am I missing something? Actually, you can also play Formula Pork on wheels. It's a fun build, but it is... Oh, it is a fun build essentially, just that's it. You can use it properly if you're good, and it can one-shot people. But generally not very tanky, and you can might as well just go with a hybrid. But it can be more useful against dogs. It's not the best, and it's kind of situational, and if you're bad with it, you're bad with it, and you're not gonna have fun time. But in PvP it's fun, so I give it the... let's say... I give it a B. Even though that's kind of generous, it's more of a D tier, let's be honest. But I enjoy it. Fun weapon anyways. The bows have always been a fun weapon, even after the nerf, which is pretty fucking hard. And I'm definitely missing something, but I think I'm gonna end it here, because those are the ones I can think on top of my head. And probably the ones that most people are gonna play anyways. Oh, actually I do remember one. This... how do I say it? Oh, this is a Leviathan, I'm stupid. Okay. This, an F tier, because I just don't like playing against them. Super tanky. Also super amount of DPS, and this flash is the most AIDS thing you can have on it, because of how much it slows you down. Wait, you mean you can... What do you mean I can't just bias my way out of this one? For fuck's sake. Okay, I'm gonna be a little more generous to it then. A D tier, because you can use it in a full dog team to tank a lot, and dish out a huge amount of DPS. Especially on an uninvited target. But still, you cannot insta-kill, so that's why it's a D tier. You actually kind of need to time it, and you need to stay on your enemy. So, a D tier. I'm not gonna give it a B. You cannot make me make it a B. Bye!